boys and girls. How are you? Remember when I told you I was always looking for stories that used my first name in them, Martha? You heard about Martha the Movie Mouse? Well, my little girl, who's older now, is named Molly. And so when she was little, we were always looking for books that had a character named Molly in the story. And this story today has a character named Molly. And the fun thing about this story is that the characters aren't kids like you. They're animals, they're kittens, but they're a family. And Molly is the older sister, so she has jobs and things she has to do to take care of her younger brothers and sisters. It can sometimes get a little annoying. You might know what that's about. Well, something happens in this story, and she has to make an important decision. I hope you like the story. Molly and the Magic Wishbone, illustrated and written by Barbara McClintock. Mama was in bed with a very bad cold, so Molly put on her cloak and hat and set out to buy a fish for dinner. "Excuse me," said an old woman, "I will tell you a secret. You will find a bone in your portion of fish tonight. Save it, because it will be a magic wishbone worth one wish for anything you want in the whole world. I know, because I'm your fairy godmother. But use your wish wisely. You only get one." And she vanished. Poof! Gone. Am I dreaming? Thought Molly. She shook her head and went home. But sure enough, that night, right after all the fish was eaten, one thin white bone was left on Molly's plate. It must be true. Phyllis and Alice and Timmy and John gathered around and looked at the bone. It must be true. Molly wiped off the bone and put it in her pocket and went upstairs to her room. Phyllis and Alice and Timmy and John all wanted to know what she'd wish for, especially Phyllis, who was the youngest. So many questions. A room full of toys? A dress like Penelope Porterhouse Pitts? A horse? A big house full of palm trees and slithery snakes? A lifetime supply of cakes and candies? To each of these things, Molly said no, 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 and no. Nothing sounded quite right to use the wishbone for. "I'll just wait until I know exactly what I really want," she said. Molly, come quick! Our rabbit is very sick. Are you going to use the wishbone to make her well?" "No," said Molly, "but fetch me a box and a warm blanket and a bowl of water." Molly stayed with the rabbit until, come in, and there were 6 baby rabbits. Molly, come quick! Timmy broke Mama's best bowl." "Surely now you can use your wish to put it back the way it was." But Molly set right to work and got a pot of glue and put all the bitty little pieces back together again, and the bowl was good as new. Molly, this time it's really bad. Use your wishbone now. There's a really horrible ghost in our room. We're so scared we can't sleep." "Oh, pooh," said Molly, lighting a candle. "It's nothing but a shirt hanging on a chair." Molly calmed the little ones and read them a story and tucked them into bed, and they all fell asleep right away. By the next morning, the little ones had forgotten about the wishbone, except for Phyllis, who was the youngest. Molly was saving her wish for something special, but what? If she had a magic wishbone, she'd have no trouble thinking of a wish. "Maybe," thought Phyllis, "I can get my own wishbone." She put on her hat and cloak and slipped out the door. She had an idea of where the fish market was. She took a left, a right, 2 lefts, and another right, and was, without a doubt, completely lost. When Molly woke up, she finally decided on a wish. A closet full of beautiful silk dresses, she thought, with bows and lace and matching hats and shoes and handbags and velvet coats. And an umbrella, of course, in case of rain. She held up the magic wishbone, closed her eyes, and began to wish. Molly, we need you. Phyllis is missing." Molly, more than a little annoyed at having her wish interrupted, put on her hat and cloak and went out to look for Phyllis. She looked everywhere, but no Phyllis. She walked until her feet hurt. No Phyllis. She asked in shops, went down strange streets. No Phyllis. It was cold, the whole day almost done, and still no Phyllis. Molly finally returned home. It was dark, and she was so worried and frightened for Phyllis that she felt sick. Molly went directly to her room and took out the magic wishbone. "I wish for Phyllis to come home safe and sound," she whispered, and wished with all her heart. The wind rushed and snow circled around thickly. There was a knock on the door. It was the fairy godmother. "Here," she said, "is Phyllis." Her arms open, and under her cape, cold but safe, stood Phyllis. Phyllis was hugged and dried and wrapped in a blanket and put in a chair by the fire. "All the things in the world would mean nothing without you," said Molly. She made Phyllis a cup of tea and one for the fairy godmother, too. The fairy godmother drank her tea, found little presents for everyone in the vast pockets of her cape, kissed them all on their heads, and went away. Poof! Gone. In the morning, Mama was feeling better and heard all about the magic wishbone for the rest of the day and for many days after.